I wasn't supposed to be home. I had kissed my wife goodbye 20 minutes earlier, keys in hand, coffee in the cup holder, heading to my sister Claire's cabin to help her move. The day was routine, until I realized I left my phone charging on the kitchen counter. So I turned around. I opened the front door quietly, careful not to wake my wife, thinking maybe she'd gone back to sleep. But she wasn't sleeping. She was on the phone, standing in the living room barefoot, pacing slowly with her back to me. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the words hit like a bullet. I cut the brake line. Yes, she'll take the car today. We'll see each other at your sister's funeral. I stood frozen. My heart stopped. Claire? My sister? She paused. Laughed quietly. She won't feel a thing. My mind reeled. My wife, Emily, was the one who braided Claire's hair at our wedding. The one who smiled at her across the Thanksgiving table. The one who texted her recipes. And now, she was planning her death? My hands trembled, but I didn't make a sound. I stepped back. Closed the door like I had never returned. Called a tow truck before I even got to my car. Then I drove to Claire's place and said nothing, just handed her the keys. What's this for? She asked. I smiled faintly. A gift. From Emily. But inside I was already planning something much bigger. Claire stared at me like I'd lost my mind. You want me to take Emily's car? I nodded once, but she could feel something was off. I avoided her eyes. I told her the tires were old and she should just take my truck instead. She looked confused, but she agreed. Claire never questioned much when it came to family. The tow truck never came for the car. I canceled it. Instead, I drove it to Emily's mother's house and left it parked right outside. I didn't say a word. No note. No warning. Just walked away. That night, I lay next to my wife in bed. She was laughing at something on her phone. The same hands that had wrapped Claire's birthday gift last week were now texting someone, fingers flying like nothing had happened. I stared at the ceiling. Who are you, Emily? And when did you become this? The next morning, her face drained of color. She was staring at her phone, trembling. Her mother had taken the car. And it didn't crash, because the brake line had already been reported, anonymously. The police towed it before she ever left the driveway. And now detectives were asking questions. Emily threw up in the sink. She kept whispering, "No, no, no." I sat across from her at the table, sipping my coffee. Rough morning? She looked at me, panicked. Did you? I smiled faintly. I forgot my phone yesterday. Came back for it. Her jaw clenched. Her world had just started crumbling. Emily didn't speak to me for 2 days. Not because she knew I had done something, but because she was terrified I might know. Her paranoia hung in the air like fog. She kept pacing, checking the windows, whispering on her phone. She thought she was clever. She even asked me casually if I'd driven back home that morning, said she thought she heard something. Must have been the wind, I replied. Meanwhile, I called a friend, Sam, an old high school buddy who owed me a favor. He worked in cybersecurity now. I handed him my laptop, told him I needed help accessing a cloud camera backup. I didn't give details. In less than a day I had it. The video file. Emily in the living room. Laughing. Phone on speaker. Brake line's done, she'd said. All she has to do is get in. Clear audio. Clear intent. It wasn't just attempted murder. It was premeditated. I saved 3 copies. 1 in the cloud. 1 on a drive I locked in my safe. And 1 on a small USB I mailed to Claire. No return address, just a sticky note. Watch alone. Then I waited. That weekend, I watched Emily sit across from Claire at brunch. Smiling. Laughing. As if she hadn't tried to kill her. Claire didn't say a word. But when our eyes met across the table, I knew she'd seen it. And from that moment forward, Emily wasn't being watched. She was being hunted. Something shifted in Claire after that. She didn't confront Emily. Didn't rage or scream. She just watched her. Every smile. Every fake laugh. Claire mirrored it all like a haunting echo. Emily, oblivious, thought she'd dodged a bullet. She hadn't. Behind the scenes, Claire began moving her pieces. She didn't tell me the details. She didn't have to. But I saw the signs. She started visiting an old college friend, a defense attorney. She updated her life insurance. Filed reports quietly about harassment from an unidentified party. Set up hidden cameras in her apartment. Quiet, methodical moves. Meanwhile, I pretended everything was normal at home. Emily went about her life, pretending to be the devoted wife. But I knew better. She had tried to murder my sister, and probably would have succeeded, if not for one forgotten phone. Late one night, I watched her in the kitchen. She was humming. Making tea. her back to me the same way it had been that morning when I heard everything. And that's when it hit me. If she could do this to Claire, what had she already done to others? I started digging. Phone records. Deleted messages. Old emails. What I found next wasn't just betrayal. It was a string of quiet sabotage going back years. Friends. Co-workers. A former roommate who fell down the stairs. Emily wasn't just a woman with bad intentions. She was a patient predator. And I had just become her next obsession, or her next loose end. The deeper I dug, the colder I became. Emily had an eerie pattern. People who got too close to discovering who she really was always fell apart. Financial ruin. Accidents. Anonymous tips to HR. One woman was institutionalized after a breakdown Emily quietly orchestrated. She didn't kill with blood. She killed with erosion, one secret at a time. I should have been terrified. But I wasn't. I was focused. Because now it wasn't about saving Claire. It was about burning Emily down with her own matches. I called Sam again. This time I told him everything. Every file. Every message. Every disturbing breadcrumb I'd uncovered. He didn't speak for a full minute after I finished. Noah, you need to be careful. This is someone who weaponizes trust. I nodded. And then I asked him to help me leak it. Not to the police. Not yet. To Emily's world. Her clients. Her friends. Her reputation. Claire handed me a burner phone with one message preloaded. If you trusted Emily, you might want to hear what she really thinks of you. Attached was the video, the audio of her break-line confession, and 2 years' worth of digital sabotage. We sent it to 5 key people in her firm. By morning her name was on fire. By afternoon her phone wouldn't stop ringing. And by nightfall, she was on her knees in our kitchen. She didn't cry. Emily just folded. On the floor, gripping the edge of the counter like it was her last anchor. The phone calls hadn't stopped all day. Partners, clients, friends demanding answers for the audio, the evidence, the sickening truths that came out like a flood. And she knew. She knew I had done it. Why? She whispered, her voice small. Why would you ruin me? I didn't shout. I knelt beside her, level, and whispered. You didn't just try to kill Claire. You planned it. Smiled while doing it. You almost made me bury my sister. She blinked but said nothing. You don't get to cry, Emily. You don't get to be the victim in your own fire. That night she packed 2 suitcases. Silent. Mechanical. But I wasn't finished. The next morning Claire handed me an envelope. Inside was a civil injunction, a restraining order. Claire had filed it the moment she saw the video. It included a court-ordered psychiatric evaluation and a subpoena for an attempted homicide inquiry. Emily's jaw clenched when she read it. You've destroyed me, she said cold. No, I replied. You did that all on your own. We just turned on the lights. She was gone by noon. But 2 days later, I got an email. No text. No number. Just a subject line. You think it's over? You're wrong. And when I opened the attachment, I stopped breathing. The file was a screen recording. Emily's voice was calm, measured, the way she always sounded right before twisting a knife. She was on a Zoom call with someone hidden behind a blurred profile picture. He thinks it's over, she said. But I've learned my lesson. Never kill the snake when you can let it coil tighter. The video cut to a list. Names. Dates. Personal details, including mine and Claire's. My job address. Claire's daily schedule. My attorney's contact info. She'd been building it before she even left. I still have access to his email, she said casually. He never changed the recovery questions. We'll let him feel safe a little longer. Then I'll make him wish he had screamed that day in the hallway. My hands clenched into fists as the video ended. Claire stood beside me. She's trying to corner us, I said. No, Claire corrected softly. She's trying to trap herself. And that's when we moved. We reached out to every person she listed. Warned them. Shared proof. Most cut ties with her instantly. But one didn't. A man named Paul Hendricks, a former private security agent she'd met years ago. He sent a single message back. You two should be very careful. She doesn't bluff. And she's not alone. That night I installed new security cameras. Changed every password. Alerted the police. Because Emily had gone from predator to cornered animal. And there's nothing more dangerous than that. It happened on a Sunday. Claire had gone to meet her friend for brunch. I was alone in the house, cleaning the garage, when I noticed something strange. The gate security camera had gone dark. I checked the feed. Offline. At the same moment the doorbell rang. When I opened it there was no one. But on the steps lay a box. No label. No address. Just my name handwritten across the top. Inside were photographs. Me, Claire, our house, my office. All taken from across the street, days ago. At the bottom of the box was a burner phone. It lit up the moment I picked it up. "You're not the only one who knows how to play silent," the message read. "One of us will break first." I didn't flinch. Instead, I walked back inside and picked up my own phone. "It's time," I said. That evening, Claire and I released everything we'd gathered, not to friends, not to co-workers, but to the authorities. Her break confession, her stalker files, her accomplice's name, everything. Within 48 hours, a warrant was issued. Her apartment was raided. And for the first time, Emily had nowhere to run. I didn't celebrate. I just watched from across the street as they put her in the car. She turned her head and locked eyes with me. And I smiled. Because justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it walks in silence and waits for the right moment to knock.